Hello everyone and welcome to my Bofuri trial deck upgrade video. In this video I'll show you my thought process and considerations when upgrading the trial deck, while also trying to keep the upgrade as affordable as possible. Bofuri is one of the best sets for this, as I've noticed that it has an intended upgrade path for the trial deck, as well as a lot of very good yet very cheap cards. The overall strength of the Bofuri trial deck isn't that high. I'd say its main strength would be reaching insane power levels at any stage of the game, due to the many power pumps included, with characters that already reach high power thresholds. As such, this trial deck will probably have no issue reversing most opponents out there, but will have issues once the resources start to dwindle. And this can be an issue later in the game, since the Sally level 3 requires you to discard 2 cards for a restand ability, and we do want to resolve her as many times as we can. The event here is to mitigate the lack of advantage combo, but with only 2 copies included, it doesn't seem that much of a help. With that, we've identified some key problems, namely the lack of card generation, keeping the advantage, and too much focus on power. As a side note, with some sets, mashing 2 trial decks would get you a long way, but the only real reason for having a second trial deck here would be having more copies of the level 3 Sally. Which is also the first thing we will do, namely add 2 more copies of the level 3 Sally. Now, restand combos are usually skipped over for something with less counterplay. However, the Sally is really good for a trial deck card, and still decent as a top end in general, as she not only has a climax combo for finishing potential, but also heals you on play and has some built-in power to reach over your opponent's board. Since we do want to max her out here, one of the obvious cards to remove for her at this stage is the vanilla level 1 Maple, as that card will be leaving the deck no matter what. So now that we are committing to the Sally, there's a specific package in the Bofuri booster that is intended to work with her climax. Starting off with this Kanade Brainstorm. It's a Brainstorm for 6, which is 2 more than a regular Brainstorm, but as a trade-off it only hits on book triggers, and it only ever allows you to plus for 1, no matter how many climaxes we flip over, trading a bit of high roll potential for a bit more consistent plussing. We can easily replace our current Brainstorm for 4 copies of the Kanade. Now the next card in the so-called package is the level 1 Climax Combo Kanade, which has the only other book climax in the set. Now this card allows you to either search or salvage this event on attack, while also being able to boost any of your lanes with 1500 power. This event is the 1-0 event that lets you check up to 4 cards from the top of your deck and add up to 1 game character from there. If this seems familiar to you, then you might be thinking of the Goblin Slayer level 1 Climax combo. These cards are pretty much lower quality versions of the Goblin Slayer cards, yet still strong at only a fraction of the price. We can add the 1-0 Kanade and streamline our level 1 colors at the same time by removing all green level 1s, and we can include the event by removing the trial deck event and the now obsolete Bonder. So now that we've included this small package, we can take a look at some other great affordable cards. First we have this level 0 Shin, which is a pretty amazing card in general. It's a chaser, which means he can move to an empty slot in front of an opponent's character during your opponent's attack phase, and in that way pick and choose his own battles. This card being 3500 power hits a very nice threshold, and he can force your opponent to play slower or overcommit on board. Similar profiles to this card have been printed at many different rarities, and having it be just an uncommon is pretty amazing for us. Now when looking at what to replace, I'd opt to replace all copies of our current Oversize, as that downside on her can be very beneficial to the opponent. However, you could also opt to remove copies of the Yui or the Assist. Another really great uncommon rarity card is this Early Play Maple. Being an early play means we get to cheat her out at level 2 by having a specific card in clock. When she gets played, she allows you to heal 1 to bottom deck, and she also gains 1k power if all of your characters are game characters. It's a really strong profile, and together with the trial deck level assist and the backup, we can reach some insane powers on defense, all the way up to 16k. Since she will be our mid-game play, we can opt to remove our current level 2 attackers with 4 copies of this Maple, keeping the backup and the assist as support. So now for the early play condition, we need this Sally to be in clock. The Sally isn't bad in her own right, as she's a 1500 mil runner with the option to accelerate for another 2k power until end of opponent's turn, becoming similar, if not more versatile than the Shin we already included. However, while the accelerate can be useful, I do still think that the Shin is a better card overall, and I think we can get away with only running 2 copies of this Sally. If you want more, feel free to cut into the Shin for an equal spread. To include her, I will be removing the assist, as the assist ability is pretty mediocre and doesn't really synergize with our plussing zeros. So now it's time to add some hand fixing and overall consistency improving cards. To make sure we get our game plan off at level 1, we can include 2 copies of the level 0 Me, which allows us to pay 1 stock, drop 1 card from hand to search our deck for our character. She also has the ability to give -1k to an opponent's front row character. Keep in mind that if a character reaches 0 or less power, they will be removed from board immediately, which means you could potentially snipe some weaker zeros to open a lane for direct attacks or to deny one of their on-reverse effects. Now we can easily cut into the level 0 UE for this card, as the -1k has similar use to the +1500 while also adding a hand fixing effect. To be honest, I don't think we need the leftover 2 UEs either, so you could choose to add 4 of the drop search, or we can go for this 3k power UE instead. Now this UE allows you to pay 1, drop a climax to grab a climax from waiting room. So in other words, she allows you to swap your level 3 climax for a level 1 climax, or the other way around. This can help you with getting your game plan off, as you now have more ways of getting the desired climax other than just drawing into it. So the deck is honestly very playable from this point, but there's still 2 small changes I'd like to make. There's this level 1 card in this set, a blue Sally and Maple, that allows you to downsize an opponent's character, which means your opponent has to swap the targeted character for a character of lower level from the waiting room. It's a really cool card that can help break open boards, as well as remove annoying back row characters in the later stages of the game. We can easily add this card by removing 1 level 1 Kasumi for this. Then the other tweak I'd want to make is bringing back the 2-1 Trial Deck Mei that we removed before. This to help us a bit in scenarios where we do not get a level 3 Maple off, to still allow us to contest certain boards, as she can easily reach 12.5k before any other power boosts. I'd personally cut into the level assist for this, but maybe consider cutting into any of the level 3 Maples or another level 1 Kasumi if the level assist has more use in your local meta. And now we have our final deck. With price checking the second-hand market, this upgrade comes down to less than $20, which is pretty insane for the boost in strength. I'm sure that if you have anyone at your locals that has opened any kind of Bofuri product, they might be able to provide most of these cards for even less. So the general game plan is playing a slow 0 game by picking favorable battles with our runners, while also trying to set up our level 1 climax combo at the same time. Also, always try to play the Shin over the Sally, as keeping the Sally in hand will make the transition into level 2 easier. Don't be too afraid to play the 3k power Yui as a turn 1 play either, as she will be able to wall most utility zeros and runners out there. Then with our strong level 1s we can easily try to contest the board every turn. We will also be able to create desirable deck states with our events and our brainstorm for 6. You can have 2 brainstorms in your back row during most of the game, replacing one only when needed during level 2 with the level assist. While you do need to keep track of your hand size, you don't need to worry too much about spending your stock during the mid game, as we only need 4 stock to play and resolve double Sally. So that was it for this trial deck upgrade video. If you like how this deck plays and end up having more to spend, you could check out this Bofuri build by Japanese player Milk Tea, who runs the same overall 8-book package except fully fleshed out. I'm pretty sure there are many videos discussing this build on YouTube already, so make sure to check them out if you are interested. Also make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.